Today's topic, I'm going to discuss what is your retirement age and try to help you figure out different ways to paint your ideal retirement picture, then look underneath the hood at your assets, and then how to create a specific plan based on the strategy that you're currently utilizing, some good things about that, and then some different gaps, how to figure out the gaps and basically implement it to a plan. Now, the importance of a plan is the difference between properly retiring or having to work for many years past that ideal retirement date. Rather than what typically happens is individuals, they place a large amount of dollars towards portfolios and just trying to grow their accounts, grow their accounts, grow their accounts, and they don't really know what to do when they start nearing that retirement stage or they hit that retirement stage, how to take proper distribution, income, and preservation strategies to make sure that those monies could last as long as they do for either them or them and their spouse, if they want to leave some sort of legacy, if that's important to them. So I'm going to break down some important areas throughout this video and just kind of have your brain working to see, okay, what is most important to you and how do you really figure out the math and really the vision behind an ideal retirement scenario, and then how can you put that into fruition? So the first kind of bullet point that you see up on the screen is retirement vision. And this is something that individuals typically don't think of, and it's a large mistake. And reason being is, what is the goal? Like, what is the actual site that you're trying to reach? What is the ideal scenario that you want to say, okay, this is really what I've always dreamt of. I stopped working at X date. At this time, when I stop working, I want to make sure that I wake up every morning, I go to the gym, or I'm waking up every morning and I'm in a new state, I'm in a new country, whatever that case is, you have to build out your picture. And the easiest way to do this, and really probably the scariest way to do this, is to picture a deathbed scenario. Is if you're married, if you have children, picture yourself sitting in a deathbed with all your family around you, and you're talking, you're saying your last goodbyes. And then you're saying, okay, do I have any regrets? Do I wish that I would have done X, Y, Z before I passed, before I got to this holy shit moment? And if there's regrets there, if there's something that you say unequivocally, I want to make sure that I'm accomplishing this. It could be as, as specific as I want to make sure that I'm writing a novel. I want to make sure that I'm leaving, a dent in this world somehow. I want to educate people. Even though my job was something else, I want to make sure that I'm doing this, this, and this. I want to have that flexibility. I absolutely love golfing. I love fishing. I want to make sure that I'm doing these different things throughout retirement because I worked my ass to get to this point. What are those different visions? What are those different topics? And write them down and then see, okay, do I enjoy what I'm doing with work? Do I mind kind of working part-time when I do hit my 60s, my 70s? Like, what is my ideal retirement date? Maybe you're mentally scarred because you had a loved one or a family member that passed away, at 65 or 70 years old. So you're saying, in the back of my mind, I want to make sure that I'm hitting my retirement date, meaning that I don't have to work as much when I'm in my 50s. So that's where really painting that picture comes in. And it's always best to plan as soon as possible. And how you can do that is creating a baseline scenario. Maybe that baseline scenario is saying 65. I'm in my 40s, I'm in my 50s. I want to work for 10, 20, 30 more years. And at age 65 is exactly when I want to stop working or want to really, ease off the gas and start to pull back a little bit. Maybe I'll only work part-time at that point. So try to get an ideal age or a couple of ideal retirement ages in there. That's ultimately your point B scenario. Right now is your point A. So you could be a couple years from that point. You could be currently towards that point, maybe a couple months from that point, or you could be 10, 20 years out from that point. But have a general idea. And every year, every couple of months, this number may change because you might have an ailment that occurs or you might come into, an inheritance. You might have some sort of things that could either get you closer to that point B or pull that point B further apart on a personal preference. Each individual situation is going to be different. This point B when we're looking underneath the hood on the math, what are some of the different things that you have to figure out? Well, the first thing are your different expenses. You may be working and accumulating a bunch of different expenses, maybe because you're taking care of family members and they're younger right now, but eventually they're going to be off on their own, and those expenses are going to drop down. Or maybe you have a mortgage expense right now, but then in the next 10 years or when you hit your ideal retirement date, that mortgage expense might not be there. So there's different things that you really have to hone in on the expense standpoint. And there's generic concepts to really calculate this number. You could do it through an acronym of MUG, which stands for mortgage, utilities, and groceries, and figure out what this number is every month, and then try to expand on that number and then execute that out for 12 months, and then also incorporate some different inflationary adjustments in there. Now, what we do is more detailed. Whenever an individual calls over to our office, we make sure to walk you through your vision scenario and then really itemize what those expenses are right now, and then which expenses may stay or may increase throughout retirement so that we're creating what this baseline is. Once we're able to really get a grasp on what those expenses are to put you towards that ideal retirement situation, that ideal retirement vision, now you could scale backwards. And now you could say, okay, what's my current situation? What are my assets projected to be? What is my saving strategy right now, if you have a saving strategy? Or what are some different accounts that you have set up? And what are those accounts supposed to be tailored towards? When it comes time for that ideal retirement scenario, are your income sources going to be greater than or equal to your expenses at that date? So let's say that we have somebody that's 50 years old, and maybe they have assets of $500,000 of a combination of different 401k, IRA, Roth accounts, non-qualified accounts. And this person ideally wants to retire because they thought of their retirement vision, their dream scenario, at age 65. So now that's 15 years of some sort of accumulation and distribution strategies and preservation strategies that need to take place in order for this to happen. At this age 65, if we're looking underneath the hood at their income sources, typically this individual will be given Social Security income, so that's going to be X amount of dollars. If they're lucky enough, they may be offered a pension plan through their employer. That might be X amount of dollars. And then they have to rely on different assets to give them that three-legged stool of an income-related strategy. So if, let's say, their expenses, after going underneath the hood and we're figuring out what their expenses are, we know to the dollar point, to the decimal point, this is going to be $80,000 by the time this person hits age 65. But Social Security income is going to generate this person $35,000. Pension income is going to generate this person another, $15,000. So this is $50,000 that they know is going to be coming to them at this age 65. Their expenses are $80,000. What sort of assets do you have to place aside towards income-related strategies using the smallest amount of dollars and only as much as necessary to close up that gap, to make sure that you're generating that extra $30,000 of cash flow? Out of this $500,000 bucket, is it possible to do certain rollovers or leverage certain IRA accounts or different non-qualified strategies that could accumulate for the next 15 years and then create a type of income, a cash flow strategy at this point to make sure that we're closing up this gap? Out of this $500,000, what is the smallest amount of dollars and only as much as necessary to utilize towards this or from this, so that we could say, okay, maybe it's $300,000 that you're utilizing out of this $500,000. You're creating some sort of income-related plan for that, and now you have $200,000 remaining that you could go on to your next step towards your emergency needs, towards your growth-related needs, that you could go and now create different strategies for that aspect. So at the end of the day, it's just keeping the most efficient asset towards its optimized lane. So like as an example, there's three main areas on how accounts grow effectively and efficiently. You have some accounts that are meant for more of that emergency, more of that safety aspect, like some of the bank-related products, the savings, the checking, the money market-related accounts, something that's completely liquid. You have some income-producing accounts that generate income streams, dividend-paying stocks, bonds, REITs, annuities, different things that could produce certain cash flow streams from this income side. And then you have your growth side, which is meant more for the fund monies, really to try to expand and accentuate that growth. So you might have high risk, but then it could result in a high return, something that can beat at the pace of inflation. So this could be anywhere between mutual funds, growth-related stocks, ETFs, be some speculative investments, cryptocurrencies, different things like that that are trying to grow these monies, at the largest possible route. So like there's a purpose and there's a place for the safety side and placing dollars into these safety related accounts. There's a purpose and a place for these income related accounts, and there's a purpose and a place for these growth related accounts. But the point that I'm making is you don't want to leverage growth related accounts to try to utilize a safety strategy and an income strategy. Just like you don't want to utilize a safety account to generate an income strategy or correlate to an income strategy and a growth related strategy and vice versa. So by sticking each to its lane, you're able to be the most mathematically efficient. And at the end of the day, what does that mean? What that means is when you ideally see your retirement vision, your retirement dream, you could hit that goal by just putting the pieces together the proper way and making sure that they're set up in the most efficient manner. And that's where it comes to creating a plan, not just having a portfolio. So what you see on the screen is just a funny illustration of, a fat out of shape portfolio, like a before and after picture, a fat out of shape portfolio to an efficient, strong actual plan. And one of the concepts that we trademarked was using the acronym of DIET, D-I-E-T, and it helps somebody get placed on their proper trajectory towards the most efficient plan possible. So just like a regular diet, you're trying to reduce the amount of inefficient calories and weed out some of the fat in the out of shape areas, the non-efficient areas. When you go on a diet, you're making your body more efficient, more successful. The same sort of aspect with a retirement diet plan. The diet, the D in diet stands for distribution strategies. The I stands for investment strategies. The E stands for estate planning. And then the T stands for tax planning. And those are the four most important areas with any financial plan, regardless of whatever age you are or stage you are in the game. If you're currently retired, you've been retired for a couple of years, that's going to be relevant, the DIET. If, let's say, you're 20, 30 years out from retirement, that's still going to be relevant, the DIET. And it all starts off with the vision. What do you see as your ideal scenario? What is your current situation? What is your current strategy? Do you have a strategy? And then how do you create a strategy? And then how do you make sure that the strategy that you're utilizing right now is fitting into these optimized pieces of the puzzle? Some individuals really want to focus in on this distribution strategy side because they said, okay, the only income source that I'm going to have when I hit my ideal retirement date is going to be Social Security income. Well, there's different tricks and there's different techniques on how to maximize the Social Security income strategies. There's different ways that if you're taking out monies from qualified related accounts, that could increase the amount of taxability or taxation on the Social Security income. So how do you reduce that taxation on Social Security income so that that's going to be more efficient? So this is where the distribution income strategies come in. If there's specific gaps in your plan, how do you make sure that you're closing those gaps and you're utilizing income-related accounts or income-related strategies of your assets of the smallest amount of dollars, only as much as necessary to do so? So that now you can move on to that step 2 or whatever's most important to you. Some individuals don't care, like the I is investment or growth planning, the E is estate, and the T is tax planning. The estate planning side, that's more of the legacy planning side. Some individuals, they want to make sure that their children, that their grandchildren are left X amount of dollars or they're left X amount in inheritance, some sort of legacy. And then other individuals don't care about that aspect. But it may still be important that they're just updating their beneficiaries on their accounts. So there's going to be relevance towards each one of these areas, but some individuals are going to want to focus on specific areas of the diet process over others. And it might be as simple as you know what, all these different things are important to me. How do I make sure that I'm doing this, you know, in a very successful manner? And that's where we try to walk you through this. We try to show you exactly what those techniques are, exactly what those strategies are, and then whether or not it makes sense to utilize specific strategies or just stay within your specific lane, because what you're doing right now is the most mathematically efficient. It does not make any sense to make those tweaks, to make those changes, because whenever we're running scenarios, Monte Carlo simulations, different things that could project your current scenario out to your ideal scenario, if it's working, if it's not broke, you don't fix it. If there are certain gaps and there are certain areas that you could optimize, that you could basically plug up those holes, then obviously it makes mathematical sense to move forward with a specific strategy over the other. So, you know, that's really what makes us different, is we make sure to create a plan, not just a portfolio. Typically advisors out there, they'll just go and say, okay, well, let's try to just grow your monies, grow your monies, grow your monies. That's definitely important, but you know, what does that mean to your overall situation? What does that mean to your overall dream? And one of the things that separate us is we want to remove your deathbed regrets. We want to make sure that you're always being placed in that mindset of, this was important to me at inception. 3, 5, 10 years down the road, is this still important to me? Yes, it is. Or maybe I want to have a tweak to what my retirement vision is, what my retirement dream is, and make sure that it's adjusting accordingly. By having a plan, it allows that to be possible. By not having a plan, you're just leaving yourself to a large question mark, and that could result in retirement failure, meaning that you're getting to the ideal retirement date and then you have to stay working. You have to, you know, you did not save enough. You did not create the proper income strategy at that point, and or now you have to downsize drastically where you probably didn't want to at that point. So it's all about A, making sure that you're painting that picture, B, looking at your current situation, and then C, creating some sort of plan around your vision and around your current situation, so it's molded, customized, you know, for what your preference is. So I hope that this makes sense, because your ideal retirement age is going to be different from one individual over the other. They're going to have their own story, their own situation, their own heartbreak that might have occurred throughout their lifetime, and that's what's going to adjust towards what they see as their vision. Or maybe they've had amazing memories towards, you know what, both my parents, they retired when they were 60 years old, and they had these income streams coming to them. They were able to travel the world, and they did the snowbird thing, where living up north for half the year and the other half the year down in the south. And, you know, that's what I see as my ideal retirement date, or my ideal retirement vision. So as morbid as it might sound, when you put yourself in that deathbed scenario, and it doesn't have to be that you're looking at your kids or your spouse, you could be single and just sitting in that deathbed. Everybody, unfortunately, has to go through that same shitty situation. How do you make sure that when you're sitting there, you have a smile on your face because you didn't leave anything to chance? And that's something that we want to make sure that we're taking away that stress, that we're helping you create that vision and implementing the proper plan that will get you, you know, to that destination successfully. So I hope that you found value in this video. It got you thinking on, you know, what might be ideal for your scenario. At any point in time, if you want to speak with a specialist, feel free to give our 1-800 number a call. It's 1-800-566-1002. And feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Retire Sharp, so you can have access to the most updated videos. Thanks so much, guys.